When you decide to lift your arm, you feel like you are in charge and in control. Your brain sends a signal, your muscle responds, and you lift with what feels like willpower. But the real decision is not happening in your brain. It is happening at the molecular level. Inside your muscle, it is chemistry, not willpower, that actually does the lifting and the work. Here is what actually happens when you move and decide to use your muscles deliberately. A nerve ending sits against the muscle like a hand touching a door, ready to communicate. When you move, that nerve sends a tiny burst of electricity down to the waiting muscle. The electricity triggers the nerve to dump molecules called acetylcholine across the gap between them. Acetylcholine grabs hold of receptors on the muscle, like a key fitting perfectly into a lock. That grabbing sends electricity into the muscle fiber itself, spreading through the cell rapidly. So far, nothing chemical has touched the actual filaments. We are still just at the door. But inside the muscle is a storage sac called the sarcoplasmic reticulum, packed with calcium ions. The signal reaches that sac, and the sac opens in response to the electrical signal arriving. Calcium floods the compartment where the filaments wait, glowing through the muscle fiber like a wave. On the thin filament sits a protein called troponin. It is the gatekeeper of everything. Troponin is sleeping, minding its business, not letting anything through to the binding sites. Then calcium touches troponin, and troponin wakes up from its dormant state. Troponin is not just waking up, it is actively changing shape in response to calcium binding. As troponin changes, it pushes its neighbor, tropomyosin, out of the way from the actin filament. Tropomyosin had been covering the spots where myosin grabs onto actin and pulls. Now those spots are naked, exposed, and ready to be grabbed by the waiting myosin heads. Calcium unlocked the door to contraction. Chemistry is taking over now, not electricity. Myosin heads, sitting on the thick filament next to actin, sense the opening immediately. They grab the exposed binding sites on actin like hands grabbing a rope to pull. Then myosin pulls the actin filament inward toward the center of the sarcomere with force. It is called the power stroke, and it is not gentle or slow or weak. The actin filament slides toward the center. The sarcomere gets shorter and the muscle shortens. This is not electricity anymore. This is two proteins ratcheting against each other like gears. But myosin cannot let go once it grabs. It is stuck to actin like a clamp. Then a molecule called ATP bumps into the myosin head and approaches the locked connection. ATP has one job: break the clamp and release the stuck myosin from actin. And it does. Myosin lets go. The actin stays shortened in its new position. If that was the end of the cycle, you would stay contracted forever, unable to move again. But ATP does something else first before it leaves the myosin head behind. ATP breaks apart into ADP and phosphate. All that chemical energy goes somewhere significant. That energy goes into pulling the myosin head backward, like cocking a gun for firing. Myosin is now cocked and ready, loaded with potential energy and prepared to go again. It finds a new binding site on actin, a little further down the filament than before. Myosin grabs again at the new location, and the power stroke happens again down the filament. Actin slides again toward the center, shortening more. The sarcomere gets shorter and shorter. The cycle repeats over and over as long as calcium and ATP are both present. Each stroke pulls the filament inward by a few nanometers in distance, a tiny amount. 10,000 strokes per second happen in a muscle actively contracting and doing real work. But eventually, calcium levels drop or ATP runs out. One fuel source gives out. When calcium drops, troponin lets go of the calcium ions it was holding tightly. Troponin relaxes, and it drops tropomyosin back over the binding sites on actin. Myosin cannot grab where there is no opening exposed on the actin filament surface. The muscle stops pulling actin. The contraction ends. The force releases from the system. Actin stays slack, and muscle relaxation happens. The cycle is complete and stopped. That is how one motor unit works inside a single muscle fiber under control. Your muscle has thousands of these motor units, each one able to fire independently. Each fiber contracts or relaxes on its own, allowing you to control force very precisely. Want to barely lift your arm without effort, and a few fibers contract quietly. Want to throw a punch with full force, and most fibers contract at once. When you decide to move, you are not willing your muscles into action. You are setting off a chemical chain reaction that runs on calcium and ATP. Your muscles has thousands of them. Each fiber contracts or relaxes independently and controlled. Each fiber contracts or relaxes on its own, allowing you to control force very precisely. Willpower is the decision that your brain makes. Chemistry is the execution that happens. They are not the same thing. They are different parts of a larger system. This chain is not a theory. Scientists have watched it happen under electron microscopes. They have measured the force each myosin head pulls with during contraction. They have tracked calcium release timing and timed the power stroke itself with precision. The same mechanism runs in your leg muscles, your heart, even your face when smiling. One mechanism, infinite expressions. The same system used in every muscle in the body. Your heart uses the exact same calcium, troponin, actin, myosin system to beat 70 times per minute. It beats 70 times per minute without you thinking about it or controlling it. Your diaphragm does it to breathe, using the same system as your leg and arm muscles. Same system, different job. The mechanism is universal throughout the body. Contraction is not a feature of special muscles. It is a feature of muscle itself. When this system breaks, you feel it immediately and notice that something is wrong. Myasthenia gravis breaks the connection at the neuromuscular junction where nerves meet muscle. Muscular dystrophy damages the actin-myosin link itself, the proteins that do the pulling. The mechanism is so specific that a single broken gene can jam the entire system. Even without disease, your muscles fatigue because ATP production slows with hard work and age. Calcium handling weakens as you get older, and years pass by the muscles. Training changes the equation by making your mitochondria produce more ATP for contraction. Fast twitch fibers cycle through contraction rapidly but tire quickly from exhaustion. Slow twitch fibers cycle slowly but can sustain contraction for hours without fatigue. But the core mechanism is identical in every fiber type throughout the body. Calcium, troponin, actin, myosin, ATP, the same in every fiber type in muscle. Strength is not just about willpower. It is partly about how many myosin heads your muscle packs. More myosin heads packed into the filaments means more force your muscle can generate. That number can increase if you lift heavy things and damage the fibers. Your body rebuilds them thicker, with more myosin heads packed into the filament. Hormones like testosterone amplify that rebuilding process significantly, speeding up the adaptation. That is why hormonal levels affect muscle size and strength more than most people know. Your muscles are not static things. They are constantly being broken down and rebuilt. They are rebuilt based on what you ask them to do in your training. Stop using a muscle, and the myosin heads and mitochondria disappear from the fiber. They are not needed, so your body dismantles them rather than maintaining them. But start using it again, and the machinery rebuilds, sometimes faster than it was lost. That feedback loop between what you do and what your muscles become is training. Your willpower does not lift the weight. Your myosin heads do that pulling work. Your willpower just asks them to pull. The myosin does the actual labor. When you push muscles to their limit, calcium and ATP get depleted simultaneously. Lactic acid builds up inside the fiber. The chemistry changes and becomes different. That is the burn you feel, not permanent damage. Chemical fatigue and imbalance. It passes in minutes once you stop the contraction and blood flows through again. The soreness that hits the next day is different. It is microtrauma that triggers inflammation. It is damage that your body uses as a signal to rebuild stronger. Even pain is just chemistry. Even growth is just chemistry running its process. Even the will to move is just electrochemistry in your brain and nervous system. Artificial hormones can shorten the adaptation cycle by amplifying the rebuild signal significantly. But the body still has to do the actual work of rebuilding despite the signal. Shortening the timeline comes with costs. Nothing is free in the body's system. All of this depends on one thing: oxygen delivered by blood flowing through capillaries. Oxygen flows through capillaries around each fiber, feeding the machinery with essential fuel. Cut off oxygen, and the machinery stalls within seconds. It cannot continue working. Restore it, and the machinery restarts. The system comes back to life and works. That is why holding a muscle contraction without moving gets painful so fast. You are squeezing your own blood supply by keeping the muscle contracted. Release the contraction. Blood rushes back in. Oxygen floods the fiber with energy. The pain drops instantly. The system recovers. Oxygen allows recovery to happen. Endurance training increases capillary density around muscle fibers. The vessels grow more. So oxygen delivery improves and fatigue takes longer to shut down the system. Strength training and endurance training do completely different things to this system. Different triggers, different adaptations, same core machinery running in both training types. Variation in training is why periodized programs work so well for athletes. Different stimuli produce different adaptations. That variation prevents plateaus and keeps progress. Nutrition is not separate from this mechanism. It is part of the system. Amino acids are the raw material for rebuilding myosin and actin filaments. Calories are the energy to rebuild the machinery. Without them, nothing rebuilds. Without enough calories, your body cannot rebuild the machinery even if you provide stimulus. Every aspect of fitness comes back to this one system in the end. Oxygen, nutrients, stimulus, adaptation, repeat. That is the cycle that makes you strong. From your 20s onward, myosin production gradually slows, even with good training. By 70, most sedentary people have lost half their muscle mass and strength. It is called sarcopenia. The age-related decline in muscle mass is predictable. Consistent training slows that decline dramatically, sometimes by decades of extramuscular life. You cannot stop this system. It is core to being alive. But you can tune it. You can slow the decline with consistent effort. This video is educational and explains the science of muscle contraction. It is not medical advice. I am explaining how the system works. Talk to a doctor about changes to your exercise or diet plans. Now you know what is actually happening inside your muscle when you move. Next, what happens when you are not moving and the muscle rests? How does a resting muscle stay on standby and not randomly contract? The body is not magic. It is chemistry doing its job reliably. None of this is medical advice, so talk to a doctor before you change anything that actually matters. It is chemistry that is boring and reliable and endlessly useful to you. And that is how your muscles actually contract and do the work you ask.